Mhm.
I think going into this, I think a lot of Americans thought that higher ed needed a nice kick in the rear end. What am I talking about here? Well, why don't we take a look at high confidence in higher education? You go back a decade ago, 57% of Americans had high confidence in higher education. Look at where we are now. That number has plummeted as of last year, down to 36%. We're talking about a 36-point drop among Republicans specifically. Get this, 68% of Americans said that higher education was on the wrong track. So it's a question of whether or not people agree with Trump's tactics, but they definitely agree with him on the idea that there is a problem with higher ed overall.
Wow.
I don't think that's
Who is this guy? I never
Harry
see this
Hinton.
guy unless you put him up.
Yeah,
I don't watch CNN, so I don't know who the guy is, but wow.
He's Harry Hinton, CNN's pollster, but I find him entertaining. His presentations are at least kind of fun to watch.
They're energetic.
Yeah. He's like, look at that. Whoa. He gets very into it, you know. Rich will even bring him up. Rich actually shared that same clip earlier today. So, yeah, he's not really a pollster himself. He just pulls up the different polls and talks about them on CNN.
He's a poll announcer. He's a play-by-play poll player.
Sure.
Poll rider. He rides the polls. He's a poll man.
Yep.
He's Peter Poll Man.
BCM 10 agrees.
Your eyes, it's keeping me awake. I had to wear this shirt to stay up for the show. You know, just researching, a character we're going to do on Tuesday, Eric and I, that a lot of people are going to be fascinated about. I don't want to give it away, but it's in the league of E. Howard Hunt. This guy is going to be a legend after the show, William King Harvey. So I've been busy digging into his insane background. This is going to be a good show on Tuesday, Eric.
Okay. Am I wrong to kind of think of him and George Hunter White as kind of
he's the equal of Angleton. They were rivals, and him and James Angleton were about the same level in terms of they both, were not. I mean, he was not OSS. He actually comes from another world. But Angleton and him were either rivals or working together for most of their career. Both alcoholics, both literally died of the disease. But wait till you see the stuff on Harvey. It's kind of interesting because he is Richard Helms's boy, and when Helms, moves up the ladder, Harvey moves up the ladder, and we're going to cover him from the beginning to the end. And that covers a lot of territory. But that's for Tuesday. Today, we have a lot of freaking news where we can't even get it in. Why don't we just dive in here? There's so much crazy crap going on, Eric.
All right. Well, as you saw the thing with the schools, we brought this up on Tuesday, so we won't dwell on it. But Trump's approval ratings are actually slipping upward, which is
upward. Yeah. I mean, just address the school thing for 1 second. Everybody logically, including Dershowitz, who's been on TV this week, says that there's no chance of Harvard ever winning this case. The idea that a university could decide to bring in people from another country, I mean, having an immigration policy essentially for a private business. It's if, an agriculture concern could just unilaterally bring in 10,000 workers from Pakistan and say, I'm bringing them in here to live here and protest here, whatever you want. I mean, I don't know when private companies got the right to bring in or immigrate in people from other countries, Eric, I think is the crux of the defense by the Trump administration.
Does my camera look okay to you?
Camera looks okay, but you're frozen. So you look great. There's like a side shot of you.
Okay.
But weird. The reality of it is, I don't understand, and neither does anybody else, how Harvard could possibly win this case, saying they could bring in, 30 to 50 to 100,000 students from China and the president of the United States, the chief executive, has no right to stop them. That's essentially their case, Eric. You know what I mean? That they have the right for the First Amendment. I don't know what does that have to do with the First Amendment, but the fact is they're paying full freight, 100 grand a piece, these Chinese students. And that's a monetary thing. But you can't just have people come in who are paying admission, like Harvard's a nightclub, Studio 54, and we're going to charge what we want and allow them to go out into the rest of the streets of New York, essentially, and do whatever they want and report to the Chinese embassy about anything they learn while they're at Harvard. This is insane.
I totally agree with that. And
right.
I think it's amusing. What I think they're going to try to claim is because Trump made a statement about their speech, very similar to the AP ruling. Like he could have said to the AP, essentially, yeah, I just don't like them. We got other people in the pool. I just don't want them in the pool. But when he said that the AP couldn't be in the pool because they wouldn't say Gulf of America, that led into him punishing them because of free speech. So I think that Harvard maybe trying that.
It's a good point. It's a good point. But also the point is it doesn't matter who the president is. This could be, going back to Jimmy Carter, like we said last week, who deported tens of thousands of Iranian students after during the Iranian hostage crisis. The court didn't step in. Nobody challenged it. And Trump, all he has to do is cite President Carter doing it and call it a day, Eric. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out because Dershowitz has been out there and a lot of other people saying Harvard doesn't have a prayer in hell to win this case. So that was kind of recent.
And that's, I think, he used to be a professor there, didn't he?
That's right. Yes. And he said he's professor non gratis now after 50 years. And when he was there, the amount of foreign students was about 4 or 5%, and now it's closer to 40, which he himself admitted is insane.
So you're saying he went from emeritus to non gratis?
Yeah, he's now Hebrew non gratis. I mean, he's not gratis for multiple reasons. You got you've got Jew, you got Epstein, you got politically incorrect, you got being the lawyer for Trump in the impeachment.
Oh yeah. Well, Trump did get one win at least. Supreme Court.
This is a good one. This is a good one. 500,000 of them. This phony parole program. I don't even know what it even means. Parole. Are they criminals? They get paroled, or is it like anybody Biden gives a pardon to, kind of a thing?
It's especially the Cuban, Haitian. It's kind of like the whole wet foot, dry foot campaign that we used to have, or we've had for decades with Cuba. Essentially, if they land and they're on land, then they're here, good to go, no problem. But our relationship with Cuba isn't the same as it was all the way into the 90s. I mean, we're not in the middle of a crisis. There's no missiles being put there. They're just another run-of-the-mill third world country. Their people are being oppressed, sure, but so are Haiti. So is everybody else down there.
They have been oppressed by dictatorship
100%
for 60 years. I don't know if the Dominican Republic has the same thing. Obviously, they can come and go and do what they want.
They don't, but what I'm saying is that it's not quite as focused with Castro gone and dead. Our ties with Cuba have lightened up quite a bit from where they were. And there's many other dictatorships that, we're not taking people from either, right? Just because it's a dictatorship doesn't mean bring them all in.
They can't come here because they're in Cuba, or
no? I'm saying that they're losing that special status
as an evil empire.
Right.
Okay. So, well, they could be replaced by Venezuela, who sent us plenty of people.
Well, that's also another one that he's removing from that program. And
that's bizarre. Okay.
It's Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuelan as part of the humanitarian.
They've reformed themselves, or?
No, I think he's just saying, look, we're not going to just keep taking everybody all the time, especially when Venezuela essentially did the Mariana boat lift by sending us MS-13 types.
Look, I never even thought about Venezuela before this thing started. Now, every day in the news, Venezuela.
Oil, Chevron.
Well, no, I know there's that side story, which is an economic story, but I'm just talking about the people coming here. They're looting homes. They have organized rings from Chile and Venezuela who are running around celebrity homes in LA, criminal gangs that are coming to LAX to do this and fly home. This is so radically new and crazy. I don't know what to make of it. It's just been going on here for a number of years now, and you can't even catch them because they go to the airport and get on a plane.
That's part of the argument that Trump and them have been making, though, that they're sending in essentially a military type of force, that it is an invasion.
Yeah.
They are sending, really not the best people, to quote Trump or whatever, gang members and whatever else, with a deliberate purpose of disrupting. That's
what was this? A 5-2 decision, Eric? Do you remember? I mean, was it 5-4 or 5 on this particular thing here?
I think it was 5-2, but I'd have.
I thought was it 8? It was 7-2 or? I thought only two people 7-2, right? Which I thought was unusual.
5-2, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just Sotomayor and Kagan, right? Or
yeah.
I
think so. I'm trying to look in the article. I know one of them really bitched about it.
Well, it must be Sotomayor. It's Puerto Rican.
I don't know. Neither of them. Oh, no. Jackson.
Oh, Jackson. Yeah.
The court has plainly botched this assessment today. Jackson seethed.
He's got a 400 on her SATs.
Anyway, I like that headline. Seethed. All right. So Sunday show. We talked about this on Tuesday a little bit with Yvonne Barnes. Barnes had a lot to say about Dan Bongino, especially.
Oh,
a little less on Cash Patel and then not really much on Bondi. It appears that Bongino may have been watching because all of a sudden he's finding his way in front of the cameras and he's starting to talk. I'm curious your thoughts that he has video of Epstein.
Well, he said what I gathered from the quote unquote video is some video of him sleeping, or just video. I don't think it's video because he said it's not video of him killing himself. So I don't know what video he's talking. It's not the physical act of doing it, he said. But he says
it proves it.
Yeah, again, it made no sense. He's completely stepping on his own dick repeatedly, verbally, in many of these explanations. It's almost like he's never been in media his entire life. He seems rusty as fuck. He keeps stepping on, repeating himself. Does not seem like a media savvy guy. And maybe just because you had your own show on Rumble talking to nobody, just yourself, you may not be able to handle Q&A and the rapport of being in an active conversation on camera. You know what I mean, Eric? It may not be his main focus.
This is true. I mean, I don't know
He's not very good at it. I'd just be blunt.
Well, and I can't help but wonder because, again, he had his own show.
Yeah.
Which means he potentially had people working with him, some sort of a crew. He could have had a really crackpot producer that helped lay out the subjects for the day. I think, sometimes they're overlooked. Like Patrick Bet-David comes off looking way too slick, too clever, too things like that. And I personally feel that guy's got a producer that is really doing a good job prepping things for him. Well, he may not have the flip side is
Greg Kelly's show, which has the worst producers I've ever seen in my life. They lose the positions. They don't put up the graphics. I've never seen. It's almost like a comedy show. I don't mind Greg Kelly, but holy crap, is that show badly produced?
Well, I'd also almost say that about two-way because every time they say graphic number of this, it's like a 20-second pause.
I hold them not to the same standard because it's relatively new. And B, it's YouTube and Rumble, but Greg Kelly's on a TV show where holy crap does this happen all the time. I mean, but he did a good interview of JD Vance yesterday, so I got to give him credit for that.
All right, well, and Greg Kelly holds his own. I mean, he's a very good presenter, obviously. All right, well, here, speaking of people who have a show on Rumble, and then we'll get into a rapid crisis. Glenn Greenwald's having a bad time of it right now, and of course, what I love is that there was video. I saw it going around last night. I was like, ooh, this doesn't look good. Boy, that does look like Glenn Greenwald, but in the day of AI, I think I DM'd you and I said, this is kind of odd, but apparently it is him doing things. He's admitted it.
Dude, the guy's a freak. I mean, come on.
I know, but where I'm going is
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, what I'm going with it is that okay, he's a freak, and most people on the right, especially, would say, "What a freak! You're a pervert. You're kind of a degenerate. What are you doing?" But because he's arguing a certain point, who is the real villain in this scenario? Mossad.
Right. They did it to him. They turned him gay. In fact, Mossad made him into a homosexual 35 years ago by infiltrating behind enemy lines into his mother's bedroom. Look, all I know is somebody pointed out if this had been Ben Shapiro, we would never hear the end of this story.
Yeah.
Okay.
I totally agree, and we already have them, running for cover. And I guess I'm curious though, Mark, is Israel and Mossad, are they the only people capable of running a blackmail operation? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And here's another thing that I'm pretty sure of. They have their hands full right now. They do not have the time nor the luxury in the middle of a war to be putting up photos of Glenn Greenwald in his underwear. I believe there are other intelligence services out there in general. And one of my favorite ones is MI6, who has an incredible ability to convince the American people that the Mossad is doing what MI6 does. That being said, it's a story that, is probably going to go away, but not before the neo-Nazis on the extreme right will continue to blame Mossad, as Eric pointed out.
Well, also, I guess just a last point on this. We've known Glenn Greenwald was gay for 20 years. Yeah. Like that. And it's kind of no surprise.
Yeah.
And the video does not look new. It doesn't look recent. So if I'm saying, what benefit would it serve Israel dropping it right now?
Nothing.
They could have dropped it 5 years ago, 10 years. I don't think Greenwald is their biggest concern.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if the degenerate right or whatever actually dropped it themselves. That would be more effective.
You know what?
Have
You're
their
probably
own copy.
thinking outside the box there correctly to make hay out of it, Eric. Again, to attack Israel for reasons that nobody can explain why they would be bothered with Glenn Greenwald doing anything.
Yeah, it is just it is a weird story, and I mean, I don't wish
almost as weird as the attacks on Mark Levin, who apparently now has not deviated from his political talking points as far as I've ever seen the guy. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not an enemy. I mean, I sometimes he's entertaining. He writes very well. I've read a number of his books, but all of a sudden he's become a lightning rod for stuff in the Middle East, as if he's changed his opinion or something. He's an editorialist and a book writer.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is somebody who has a very strong opinion about him. I shared it with you.
What is his beef with this guy all of a sudden?
I speak for the Christians and Jews of America as a place tower. I'm Mark Levin, and we don't stand with Al Qaeda. Well, the hell you don't. Your boss, Netanyahu, literally runs it. He's the last standing neocon with any power.
Dude,
so now
give me a break,
Netanyahu runs Al Qaeda?
Dude, it's so insane. I mean, I love Alex, but he has just gone so off the rails with this thing. It's so fucking crazy. I mean, nobody's going to buy this horse shit. I mean, the guys, they're fighting for their lives over there, trying to eliminate Hamas and end this insanity. I mean, the strangest thing was Thomas Massey putting up this post that they've killed 50,000 women and babies today, and he is being shredded by every common thinking person in America on Twitter today. Holy crap! He literally took the talking points of Hamas and was defending Hamas, saying that Israel's killed 50,000 women and babies. That's a quote from Thomas Massey today. You tell me this guy doesn't have a problem? What is the problem with Thomas Massey, bro? What is he representing in Kentucky that we don't know about?
Yeah, I don't think he's ever had a love of Israel.
Right, but what is it to the people of Kentucky who need so much help in so many areas of their lives that this guy focuses on this one foreign policy issue and distorts it for reasons that nobody can explain.
Well, he also could be blocking Trump on a bill. So he has other.
Yeah, well, that's a separate thing. But yeah, I mean, but he's been doing this Israel dance for a while. Today, again, just going completely off the rails, siding with the Pope and saying the Pope quoted this 50,000 thing. And you got to believe Pope Leo because he just got in there. Leo Gorsi, the new Pope from the Bowery Boys, as many people know.
Well, can I make just one point and then we can move on about the, children? Yeah. Okay. Well, they consider that when they're reporting a child is up to 19 years old.
Oh, that's a good point.
The average fighting age, I believe, for Hamas is 14 and higher.
Yeah, right.
So therefore,
good point, Eric.
How many of those are actually combatants? So I just wanted to throw that out there. I didn't know.
Adding in human shields and adding in the fact that they killed their own people in that warehouse debacle yesterday where the food was being held by Hamas and they went in to get it, the Gazans, and then they killed 2 of them trying to get the food. I mean, this has been going on for many, many years where they have used the food as hostage to sell it on the outside market, using it for military purposes, whatever. But there's interesting video of the riot going on inside that warehouse.
I hope the people there who are sane, both of them, can stand up and please.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Israel would be happy if they turned over Hamas and they said, here's your hostages. Yeah. I'm sure Israel would stop everything immediately.
Of course they would. Are you kidding me? This thing, the second they lay down their arms, this thing is over. On a lighter note, did you see this thing about the Obama musical? I don't know much about it, but there apparently is a musical with sex scenes, with wild sex scenes involving the actors playing Obama and his wife. I have not seen the actual sex scenes, so that's for a later date, I think.
I'm almost afraid.
It's a musical comedy.
A lot of people can really run with this. Now, question, is it being done by fans of the Obamas or
it looked
people
like
who are not fans? That could be quite interesting too.
It could be. I think it was done by fans. I sent you a link to it. I don't know if there's any video attached to it, but we have had some celebrity deaths. Again, they always die in threes. So we had Loretta Swit, who, as people know, today was Loretta Swit, who was 87, Hot Lips Houlihan from MASH, a great character in that show. Absolutely fantastic. And then Bernard Kerik, the former chief of police, police commissioner of New York, who lived in a building with Greg Kelly, by the way. And in that building, he was living with Judith Reagan, the conservative book publisher.
She was the one who did If I Did It with OJ before she got fired.
She did every single conservative book, also crime books. But Judith Reagan was the biggest publisher in New York for a long time. But he went to prison over this apartment that was, I don't remember the actual details, but he went to jail over this thing, Bernie Kerik. But Al Gonzalez said he was a solid guy, worked under him for many years, and the police loved him, the rank and file.
Well, he was there with Giuliani when they got crime just like knocked way the hell down to lowest levels in like 50, 60 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people like Bernie Kerik. He was pardoned by Trump, by the way. I don't know if people realize that in the first term.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a post-prison pardon. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah. Pardon not commute. Okay.
Right. And then also Rick Derringer. Rick Derringer, just to give you people some understanding of Rick Derringer, there was actually Rick Zeringer. He had a brother who was in the band, also named Zeringer. And they were a band out of Union City out in the Midwest. And they formed a rock band, and they played local gigs until they were approached by the guys from the Strangeloves, who we did an episode on. The Strangeloves redid Hang On Sloopy, rewrote it, remade it, and took Rick Derringer and created a band called the McCoys. And that was a creation by the Strangeloves, who themselves were a creation out of Australia with a phony band that you can see in our episode about the Strangeloves, which is on this channel. They had a hit called I Want Candy. And I Want Candy goes to #1 on the hit parade. And it was later covered by the Bangles, but the Strangeloves were writer musicians in the studio in New York in the Brill Building. And they had a hit with this thing, and it goes crazy, and they're asked to tour, but they don't have a band. So they create this band of Australian pig farmers called the Strangeloves. And they, on a plane, they have the plane towed at the terminal in Philadelphia so they could do American Bandstand and this other show. And there are thousands of fans waiting for them to get off the plane dressed as these Australian pig farmers. And they go and they do the show and they do their hit, which is I Want Candy. These guys now realize they couldn't keep it up and they had to look for other bands to produce. And one of them was the creation of the McCoys. And that made Rick Derringer's career because that went to #1 on the charts and sold millions of copies, became the theme song for the Ohio State football team and a million other frat house parties from that time on, 1965 on. So Rick Derringer will later hook up on Hoochie Coochie Man with Edgar Winter and Johnny Winter, and this is afterwards, and form his own rock and roll career. But that the McCoys thing puts him on the map, and that was done by the Strangeloves out of Brooklyn and the Bronx, which we did an interesting story of, and I've interviewed these guys before. That's where the information came on the Strangeloves for the original episode. So rest in peace, Rick Derringer.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I want to pivot back because we did talk about the degeneracy with Glenn Greenwald, Rumble host. Well, there's another Rumble host that, of course, everybody knows is facing it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Russell Brand pled not guilty to the charges against him, and his trial is set for June 2026.
Yeah, he posted bail. Huge mistake, on my opinion. Should flee the country and never go back. He is going to go to prison. It's going to be a long term. He, in his naive opinion, believes that he's going to get justice. There's not a prayer in hell of him getting justice in the UK. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know why he did it. It's going to not end up well for him. There's 4 different girls going back to 1999, Eric, and I don't see this ending well for Russell Brand. Huge blunder.
Where would he go though? Because I don't know if he could
come right here to Los Feliz. Right.
Maybe,
by the,
but
right
we have
by
extradition treatments. We have a
Trump is never going to extradite him. Never going to happen. It's my opinion.
All right. Well, again, Trump's not in there forever, so
right.
I don't know. So, I'm just saying that might be what he's thinking. There's an extradition.
He's thinking he's going to be the next Harvey Weinstein. That's what he's thinking. I recommended at the time that Harvey Weinstein flee, and I was laughed at. I guess nobody listened to my opinion then. These are guys with a lot of money who have the ability to live in other places. He does not need to live in the UK.
No, he has, I think, plenty.
I got 2 words for you, Roman Polanski.
Yeah, but that's France.
I'm just saying.
Well, no, I'm saying that
they can extradite him from France too, Eric.
I think they've turned it down.
No. They have turned it down. Absolutely. The point of the matter is that the only guy who ever beat this celebrity guy that I'm talking about is Roman Polanski, who did the right thing and got out.
Okay. Let me see. All right. And then we'll continue on this path. Sent me this.
This is a path. We're on a path. Yeah, this is.
Well, the headline was,
you're right.
DOGE is shutting down.
Right.
But then now we've got this, these questions about his having a black eye. And now I just literally was, I'm seeing in my timeline, people sending clips of him in that conference, cut down to a really small clip of saying that he's like tripping balls.
Yeah.
In that press conference. I don't know if he is, because Elon is always kind of a little, he's not fully autistic, but he's got his quirks. I mean, he's always got a quirk.
Well, one of the quirks they're describing is that he loves ketamine. I don't know if that's a quirk, but in that article, it talks about that he's loaded to the gills on ketamine.
Right. Well, he's known for his parties with Amber Heard and whatnot, etc. But why did the article drop here literally on the same day of DOGE? And I did like his comeback to it, because he goes, wait a minute. Is this the New York Times that won the Pulitzer Prize for the Russiagate story that they may have to return the prize?
That's going to be an interesting story because that case is going forward against the Pulitzer board, who was being sued by Trump for giving the Pulitzer Prize to the Washington Post and New York Times for the Russia hoax story. That's an interesting way to go after it. I thought he was going to go after the New York Times and the Post, but they're just the recipients of the award. They, you know, he's going after, and the judge has allowed it to go forward.
Good. I think that an award like that, it lends credibility to the story. And if the story is false, how can you give an award to something that's false? It should be rescinded. Just
absolutely,
just by default. I mean,
absolutely.
If you leave that, I mean, they can always say, they'll always tag it Pulitzer Prize winning coverage of blah 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 crime.
And so they have. That's exactly what they have been doing for over a year and a half, 2 years now.
So I think that it's important to cover that. So while we're talking about veracity and truth, though,
yeah,
this is an interesting story that just broke, and it's the FBI is doing probes on these texts from, essentially there's texts asking for pardon advice from a person impersonating Susie Wiles. And I'm going,
first I thought it was a person physically impersonating her, but it's not. It's electronically, digitally, right, Eric?
I didn't hear you. You cut out for a second.
I'm saying I thought it was a physical impersonation, but it's not. It's a digital impersonation.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But you know what? That kind of got me thinking. You had the French President Macron or whatever, who his office tried to claim, hey, it's AI images and stuff. I'm like, how often are we going to have people making weird decisions? Like we complain about possible things with Susie Wiles. Is this going to be like a quick out saying, oh, hey, no, that was an impersonation. Hey, somebody snagged my phone.
Definitely.
And I was hacked, because I'm starting to see that defense a little bit more too. My account was hacked when I
she
put
did
up
that.
those tweets.
What's her name? The black newscaster on MSNBC did that.
Yes,
Joy Reid, like 7 years ago, because she had all kinds of homophobic statements in there and racist statements and anti-Semitic stuff. And she said her phone was hacked. The FBI came in. I mean, who gets the FBI to come in on a case like this and prove that she wasn't hacked, as a matter of fact? But that story never really surfaced.
No, and she just kind of changed the subject. But you know what? Let's shift from being hacked to being a hack. And that brings us to Cory Booker.
Oh, what's he doing?
It appears, remember how he did his filibuster, and he record-setting filibuster, longest time bloviating on the floor of the Senate?
Yeah, what was that about?
Well, it appears it was to help get him some publicity because, oh shit, he's got a new book.
Oh boy. Is it an audio book with the entire filibuster in it? Is that part of the sales thing, or what?
No, I think this is just this book that he's bringing out, and it's about standing. This is not right or left. It is right or wrong. This is not a partisan moment. It's a moral moment, Booker said.
Reminds me of the Catherine Marr thing, where she believes that NPR is fair and balanced and biased right down the middle. And I thought maybe she actually believes that, Eric. Maybe.
Yes.
And this is something the audience, may want to comment on, because I have a sense that the left believes that they're really the middle.
They're centrist. Yes. That's the Overton window.
Right. And that anybody else to the right of them is like neo-Nazis.
Yes.
But there's never anybody to the left of them.
No.
They never look out the other window of the car to see who's on the left, which is the lane they're in.
Yes.
In other words, when she's confronted saying 99% of your employees voted Democratic, when she's confronted with the statistics that 99% of her stories are pro-Democratic, apparently it's just cognitive dissonance, and she just says, no, those are fair and balanced stories.
Well, yeah, but it's like your state is a single party state. So what do you have? You have more conservative and more leftist Democrats, right? Anything to the right of that's obviously a Nazi.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But I mean, I just found it startling that after everything she's been through, Catherine Moore, testifying before Congress and then to come out and say, we're fair and balanced, and nobody's stopping her from raising money privately to keep that network going. I don't understand it. That I tried to find out her salary, and apparently it's a secret. And I thought, okay, you're a government agency, you're a quasi-government agency, at least you claim to demand for First Amendment reasons money from taxpayers, yet you will not reveal anywhere your salary as the head of NPR. Why is that, Hunley?
Because she can.
Okay.
Sadly, it's like she gets away with it. So there you go.
Well, maybe not so much longer.
Speaking of people who are blinded, we have AOC. Now,
what is she up to?
Well, she's been under fire because she's busy, going around with Bernie Sanders, drawing all kinds of press. The one place she doesn't travel very often is in her own district.
Oh, we had that with Adam Schiff too. I mean, he was never here. He was living in Maryland. You get this a lot from these people.
But she's claiming that she's actually very present in NYC. Now,
really?
What do you want to bet? Well, she's probably present in New York City, but she's probably not present in her damn district. She's probably there for the upper scale parties. I'm sure she spends time in Manhattan.
It may not be a city much longer because, as I predicted, this Zohran Mamdani is now caught up to Cuomo in the polls, and he is, and I don't even know how to say this, an Indian-born leftist, socialist, Marxist, democratic Muslim who will be the next mayor of New York, and they will have captured New York like London. If this continues, he's a couple of points in the polls behind Cuomo, and Cuomo, of course, being lambasted. And I'm glad the administration shut up, because what brought me to that point was the administration and allies of it were attacking Cuomo. And I said, shut the fuck up. You're helping this other guy. And I think that somebody figured it out in the Trump administration, and they should embrace Cuomo and make sure that this crazed Marxist doesn't take over the city of New York, because he embodies the meeting of the two political cultures, Islam and Marxism, in one man, Eric. This guy, if he takes over the reign of power of the largest city in the country, Katie barred the door, because this will be the end of New York as we know it.
I agree. And somebody in the chat, Mac Wallace, Arbitration Services, said, can he be worse than a Cuomo? Absolutely.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Are you kidding? Cuomo's got something to prove, that he can rehabilitate his image. I mean, Cuomo is as New York as it comes, obviously multi-generational, obviously a womanizer, but hey, he wouldn't be the first mayor to be a womanizer. I mean, that's a separate issue than being a Marxist Islamist. I mean, holy crap.
I mean, let's put it this way. I don't like Cuomo, but I think he could potentially be a good mayor.
Absolutely.
In New York.
Absolutely.
Two things can be true at once. And I don't like the guy, but he's got something to prove.
Right. He's got something to prove, and he wants redemption. And it may be the greatest thing that ever happened to the city. However, there's enough of these forces in New York to combine, like Tim Pool was talking about in Chicago, to put this guy over the top into the mayor's seat. Holy crap. You're talking about Sharia law on Monday.
I was thinking that New York wasn't LA yet, but maybe they are.
It's a similar itinerary to Lori Lightfoot leaving and getting a worse mayor in the replacement of Lori Lightfoot, who everyone believed was the worst, until they got the full-on Marxist who's in there now. So this would make the current mayor, who is kind of like a centrist liberal, if you want to be generous, the current black mayor of New York, this would be so far of a radical change in the negative direction. It would be similar to Chicago.
I know. I was hoping that there was still enough of a blue collar vibe in New York to prevent that from happening. But speaking of the current mayor in New York, he's expanded key safety program to Central Park to crack down on aggressive pedicabs and illegal hockey.
Yeah, they begin to do this at the end. Currently in the state of California, the attorney general of the state is cracking down on legal card parlors in Southern California that are legal, usually Asian-owned, Asian-run gambling casinos that just have cards. They don't have machines, slot machines, stuff like that. And they start to go after these bizarre quality of life things when their backs are against the wall politically, I've noticed.
Which is funny. It's like, maybe if you did that before your back was against the wall, you could have something to point
seriously. Yeah.
You could say, hey, okay, I might be in trouble now, but look what I did for you. Look.
Well, I'll tell you somebody who got out of Hawaii in just the nick of time. Hawaii has now implemented a climate change tax, people, on all tourists coming into Hawaii. Every hotel guest, every cruise ship, everyone who comes in has to pay a tax of nearly 1%, which is not small potatoes, on a state where their entire budget is from tourism.
That's the most self-deletion policy I've ever heard, because I guess their theory is that in order to get to Hawaii, you've got to blow a lot of fuel flying over the ocean, or blow
that's
a lot
their
of fuel.
Explanation. Yeah.
Oh, okay, but guess what? Then you're right. Everybody go to the Virgin Islands. They're a lot closer.
Right. Now, I'll tell you something else. I spoke to a number of people, a couple of them militaries, a lot of military people in Hawaii who were driving Uber, who were very smart people who were doing Uber on the side. And this one guy told me that they projected out tourism for the next 5 years in Hawaii, and it is on a graph going straight down, simply because they have priced themselves out of existence, and they are petrified now in Hawaii because all of their tax money comes from tourism. And the projections for 5 years, not unlike the state of California, which has other industries and other things, Hawaii's projection for tourism is straight down on a graph. And I heard that from 2 or 3 different people who live there. And now this happens a week after I got home for this carbon tax, or this climate change tax, as they're calling it, in Hawaii. They're going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg, Eric.
Well, it's just bonkers. I mean, Hawaii,
and plus it's bonkers. Yeah.
No, Hawaii looks like a cool place, but how is it better than Polynesia? How is it better than Indonesia? How is it better? There's other places that are islands and have every bit of what Hawaii has to offer that are pennies on the dollar. It's like, super cheap for people to travel to and have a really good time.
Well, speaking of which, traveling, the state of California is flipping out because 2 of the last oil refineries in the state are now leaving the state because of Gavin Newsom's incredible draconian squeezing of them. They have now decided to close the last 2 oil refineries in the state. And the projection in this hearing 2 days ago was that gas will go to $10 a gallon within 24 months. Every estimate was $9 to $10 a gallon. Newsom now scrambling because he knows this is an indefensible position. He had accused the oil industry, the neighboring states, just around the neighboring states, California, the average is $2.49. Across the street from me right here, it's $6.29. So it's a $4 difference per gallon. And every surrounding state, the average is $2.49. Okay. He claimed insanely that the oil companies were targeting California. And when asked why they weren't targeting the other states of the United States, he had no explanation for that. That story is now fallen apart. He's now scrambling. You're never going to believe this. They will be using oil barges, importing oil from other countries to keep the state of California running for the next 5 years. We're now going to import oil for gas fuel from other nation states. Again, the reason I'm mentioning this is because they said that the climate and pollution will be affected by these giant oil barges bringing in gas from other oil from other countries. Wow. We now have to have a Berlin airlift in California, and Trump has to save us. But then I thought that maybe he shouldn't save us, to make a point of a democratic state with a supermajority in Sacramento, with no one to blame but themselves. Trump may not want to save us.
There is a model for that. I think it's Ford who said Ford to New York, drop dead.
Yeah, there is a model for it, but it's also, it could be multifaceted. In other words, killing his number one political ally, proving that a supermajority of Democrats can't blame anybody by themselves, crushing the liberal left of the Democratic Party and their new governor in waiting, who I continue to say is going to be Kamala Harris. Trump may not want to save the people of California. Unfortunately, I'm one of them, but I'm kind of split on this because I'd like to see him come in, you know, guns blazing and say, I'm taking over. We're putting people in jail, which they are doing, putting people in jail. But, you know, and the Senate did overturn Newsom's electric car 2035 edict. So there is some movement, but you wonder who to root for here.
I agree. Well, at what point will you be run out of there? I mean, I know that there's
now at this point, I just want to see the whole shit storm go up in flames. I mean, now it's exciting, Eric. You know, I mean, this is like this is like the fall of Saigon, and I'm Ed Bradley in the My Lai massacre. I want to see how this thing ends, because holy crap, is it getting close? They are fighting each other like you've never seen in your life, pointing fingers, blaming each other. Karen Bass put out a video yesterday saying we are way ahead of schedule in rebuilding homes in the Palisades. And Corolla and his crew put out a drone video of the one home being built in the Palisades. And it's just been, you know, it's just the wood framing so far. So her lie was immediately caught. And now there's finger pointing. You had the imprisoning of the deputy mayor for phoning in a bomb threat. I mean, like Lenny Bruce said, Chicago's so corrupt, it's thrilling. That's how I feel about LA. I feel like Lenny Bruce in Chicago in 1958. This place is fascinating.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, for a journalist, if I had a wife and kids, I would be long gone, to be honest with you. But it's just me at the end of my life. Who gives a shit if I survive or not in this post-war zone millennial Berlin? You know, this is like, you know, being in Berlin in 1945.
Fair enough. By the way, the fuel here, I just looked it up, is right around $2.50 a gallon.
And rightfully so. That's the going rate. Except you.
By the way, that's heading into summer, which is the most expensive time for buying fuel.
Right.
So that's good news.
You don't have 2.7 million illegal aliens that he passed a law putting them on Medicare. Every single Medi-Cal. Every single one of them. And now he admits there's no money for it. And there's no guy with Alzheimer's writing a check to bail out the state of California, which is close to $70 billion in the red. And nobody's riding in on a white horse, Hunley. So they're now fighting, of course, over their crazy fucking programs on what to cut. And that's a beautiful thing to watch, because they're circling the wagons over certain programs. We got to save the homeless. We got to have the tiny apartments. We have to have trash collection. She can't cut any more police. The police are now committing self-deletion. I mean, holy crap. This is like out of the Joker or something here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful dystopia. And yeah, Trump is probably best off to just do nothing.
I know, but I don't think he will. Because I think he wants to be the hero that saves it in the storyline. So I think he's not going to stay out of it.
Well, he's a soft touch. I mean,
he's a soft touch.
The biggest irony with Trump is he's known as being so mean and cruel, but he's actually one of the softest touches out there if you look at his pattern of behavior.
I think that's why they came up with that persona. I think that was to offset the real personality when he created it for the World Wrestling Federation and then also for The Apprentice. And as I've said many times, it's his Andrew Dice Clay persona. Andrew Silverstein is the guy I knew from Sheepshead Bay, who was not anything near the persona of Andrew Dice Clay that was created by Silverstein as a character. And I think, and I've pointed out numerous times, that I think that's where Trump got it from.
Yeah, off stage, Andrew Dice Clay, isn't he like relatively soft spoken and
Totally, dude, he's totally soft spoken. Nothing near that character. Nothing near it. I can't explain this any more clearly, the Trump phenomena, than Andrew Dice Clay as to explain it to people. And I mean, Nora Dunn, who was an actress on Saturday Night Live, famously boycotted the show because she believed that was the real guy.
Which is funny. She believed in, but she was okay with Andy Kaufman.
Well, Andy Kaufman, I guess, wasn't playing an alpha male, foul-mouthed Brooklyn Lords of Flatbush misogynist, which was the character. I mean, Kaufman did have that wrestling character. He did have various personas. I mean, Kaufman also, did the Elvis impersonation. He had multiple things he was into, Kaufman.
But what I'm saying, though, is he was obviously playing somebody else. So there are other examples of it. So it's like, he couldn't be too. I mean, that just seems a little.
Well, she didn't like the character he was playing, which is insane because they expect us to believe the characters that trans people are playing.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's truth, though, Mark. And then they, of course, take it even further and rub your nose in it and name them as Woman of the Year and things like that. So, screen over the females.
Well, somebody flipped out because not that they were dead named, they were misgendered. And the misgendering happened at a coffee shop where the guy merely said, "Yes, sir." He didn't mean anything. And we were talking about it privately, and misgendering is almost worse than dead naming because misgendering means the act is not working. And I got to go back and redo the makeup, redo the hair. It cuts to the bone when they are misgendered. Dead naming is kind of a vicious attack. I get that. Because you wouldn't know the guy's last name unless it was personal. But misgendering happens all the time, usually in a restaurant or something. And the reason it bothers them so much is because it means I got to redo the act. It ain't working. The vaudeville act ain't working.
There's some of that, but it's also, I feel like it's like getting a bunch of tattoos and having like aggressive facial piercings. Okay. And then when you're like kind of looking at, what are you looking at? It's like, well, I'm looking at this display that you put up.
That's a weird it's hard to turn away. That's a weird analogy. Okay, that's weird.
Well, you have some of that, like you've seen the remake or the new Queer Eye, the Straight Guy, right?
What?
Queer Eye, the show on Netflix. Okay, well, there's one of them who wears dresses and has a beard, and it's like, come on now.
But what do you mean? Like
he dresses, he wears dresses
because here nobody would
and he wears a beard.
Nobody would look twice here.
Okay, well, I'm just saying to many people.
It depends where you are.
What do you say, sir, ma'am? What and it's a trap.
We're talking about engendering in the misgendering.
That's
division.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's a weird one. That's a weird one. You're right.
And I think it's a trap. It's a deliberate power play that you're never correct. You're always on your back foot. People don't know what to say.
Well, yeah. This case, it was a woman. It was a guy clearly attempting to pass as a woman. There was no in between here, and it didn't work in that exchange. And she was very upset because she thought she had it nailed. You're talking about a similar but slightly different thing. I get it. Yeah, that's not wrong.
Well, and the truth is that if they can pass, nobody will know anyway. I mean, there are some.
That's why I'm saying the misgendering cuts to the bone because they think they are passing. Wow. That means I got to go back and redo my makeup and costume.
Or you probably need to get some surgery to shave an Adam's apple, and you've got certain facial structures. I mean. Even Blair White, the quote trans of the right. I thought
you were going to say Blair Witch, but
no, Blair White, the trans on the right. I think she had to, or he, or what, had to have like jawbone shaved and different things to try to tweak it out. It's not that easy.
Speaking about books and show business, did you see the numbers on Jake Tapper's book that recently?
It is the #1 bestseller, from what I understand. But,
okay, I didn't understand the article then because it said there were sales had peaked at 55,000 books, and it was a bomb.
Well, it could still be the #1 bestseller and a bomb. I mean, I don't know how well these books are really selling. There are ways to pump up the numbers, like people like order for conferences, right? So if you have a book coming out and you go to like 5 conferences and they order tons of the books at one time,
no, I understand
it pushes the number up. So
is the book a success or not? I think that somebody can discern that, but you're saying you can't.
Well, I don't know what a success is anymore, because I think the industry has been devastated. Publishing industry, fewer books are sold all the time.
Well, I'm hearing that among what's the new generation?
Well, Alpha's coming up. Z is the
Z. Among Generation Z, books are the new entertainment. They don't like movies. The TV thing is kind of burnt out. They don't like paying for these streaming services because they're kind of floating around, and they don't have the financial stuff to continue to pay for these subscriptions.
Well, shit, I barely do.
No, I'm saying right, but I'm saying they definitely don't. And apparently, there's a huge revival among fiction novels and fiction books.
So that's fiction. So that's good news. That won't help to Jake Tapper.
No. I'm just saying. News. Yeah, I'm just saying. Nonfiction and fiction are different, obviously, but there's a revival among books among kids.
I could see that. I could see that happening, especially with everything. One interesting marker on that is that books rely on imagination, and maybe they're tired of everything being fed to them. You know, video games and everything real and hyper real. Maybe it's like they want to step back and just use their own imagination.
There's a great video of Tarantino talking about the death of film because of wokeness. That film died in 2019. That was the last year of film as an industry. Other people have carved up this theory in different levels, but it seems to be a continual theory now across the board that film is dead. I mean, when the top director in America says that film is dead, you got to take it seriously.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering too. Do you think he's given up? Because he was doing the Movie Critic as his 10th and final film, and he scrapped it apparently.
Okay, let me explain this to you, because this is my Hollywood report. We have a special banner. This Hollywood report. He's married to a Jew, an Israeli girl, lives in Tel Aviv himself. When October 7th happened, he put the kibosh on it because of the war. Because it's set in Tel Aviv is the point I'm trying to make.
I didn't know that.
Okay. I know you didn't. Neither does anybody else. I'm not blaming you. I'm just telling you what's going on inside Hollywood. So he's now becoming a playwright, and he wants to write plays like Mammoth. And I'm excited to see what Tarantino comes up with. And he said if the play's a hit, he's going to turn it into a film, and he wants to write numerous plays and stage them. As opposed, and he didn't rule out the picking up the film and making it the 10th film. It's just that the war's going on, and it's set in Tel Aviv, to explain that. But that being said, he has gone on numerous platforms, including Bill Maher and others, talking about the death of Hollywood, and many others have said the same thing. Just as today, there was a film with Terrence Howard called A Cipher being filmed in Kentucky, $3 million film. And the unions descended on it, and they forced a strike of the independent crew in Kentucky. And now the film has been destroyed because they wanted the independent crew to unionize. So they're not sitting here anymore unemployed. They're going to the place where these low budget indies are being made. In this case, Kentucky, that gives back a $2 million tax abatement on a $3 million low budget indie, and they are attacking them. Not only are they not happy with destroying their own business, they are now trying to prevent indie film from even getting a foothold by trying to unionize the people. They're now picketing their own former film that doesn't exist, if that makes any sense. It's the front page of Deadline Hollywood today, and we were just laughing about this. And the people in the comment section of that article were out of work, union guys in Hollywood who, and I know all of these guys here, grips, gaffers, blue collar guys, haven't worked in 2 years. These were bitter guys saying, yeah, fuck Kentucky. You know, if we can't work, nobody can work. Oh yeah, no, dude. And
you're like, what is wrong with you? You can't move to Kentucky? It'd be a lower cost of living. Maybe you can sell your house. Well, man, I don't know if you sell the house there, but I don't know. I kind of find it sad and hilarious at the same time But AI is also coming in, and it's going to be a complete nightmare. It's not quite there yet, but it's like 95% there. It's very spooky if you look at the clips that are going around.
The reason I mentioned the Hollywood thing is because, like I said, Trump has these ambassadors, and they're setting up a huge series of meetings with Trump and the heads of the studios and the unions. And they are tearing themselves apart here because they want to be saved by Trump, but they hate Trump. So this is another insane finger-pointing zeitgeist of Hollywood that's fascinating to watch, Eric, where they want to be saved by Trump, but they hate Trump's guts. So they don't know what to make of it. And they, Sylvester Stallone and John Voight and Mel Gibson have been named by, in case people didn't know the story, have been named as ambassadors by Trump to make Hollywood great again. And Trump he did put 100% tariff on foreign films. They don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to explain that. But he wants the films to be made here. Mm-hmm. And just like everything else, it's just another industry, but one that he has.
Now, when you say here, do you think Trump wants them to be made in Hollywood specifically?
No,
or do you think Trump likes it in Kentucky and Georgia and Texas?
Kentucky's great. Texas is great. He doesn't care about that.
Okay.
But he's not going to have unions flying in from Hollywood to shut down a production in Kentucky. That's insane. That's insane. That's essentially what they did.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, even now, they will fly to Vancouver, which is out of the country. They've been going to Ireland. They've been going to Denmark. They've been going to countries that have health insurance nationally, which alleviates that part of the pension and health for the crew while you're shooting, which is why they've been going to these socialist countries to shoot films. Trump wants to put a stop to that, and rightfully so.
No, I agree with that.
Fascinating. Go ahead.
I have another question on that, and I wanted to run this theory by you because I just finished watching Bosch. I know you don't care that much about it, but
it's not that Bosch, I've just never seen it. It's not a question.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good show. It's very popular, and there's constantly some odd things happening where Amazon and Netflix are canceling shows that are popular. They're not just canceling whatever. They're canceling shows that are peaking. And my theory is this: Bosch ran for 7 seasons. And they canceled it. There was an uproar, so they had a spinoff called Bosch Legacy. But when they had the spinoff, a couple of the characters kind of, they're off the show, and the cast shrank down a little bit. Now that has been canceled, and they're running a spinoff. So my question is this: is this really just a financial situation that all the main stars on a show, when a show goes on 3 years, 4 years, or whatever, their contracts keep getting more and more expensive? And paying for the cast is the most expensive part. When you spin off a character, especially with an unknown actor, then you just bring the other people in as cameos. You pay them a cheaper rate on occasion for guest starring, but the entire cast is cheap, and so you could kind of keep the.
Well, I would have to look at this particular thing. I can't answer that because I don't know the numbers on this particular show. There's various reasons that it happens. A star could leave, or they could be shooting this in Vancouver. They may have lost their tax credit. It's hard to say for this particular show. But what Tim Pool was explaining is not really wrong. The algorithm for true crime, for instance, for Netflix, as other people have talked about, it just keeps regenerating. And he's not the only one to talk about this, but it just keeps regenerating more and more true crime shows. So it fills up their library, and thereby flooding the zone with too many true crime shows that also decline in quality as they make more and more true crime shows on Netflix. And then the audience that they're targeting is girls, I believe 18 to 28 is the target audience for true crime. So, but that algorithm can change, Eric. In other words, they're not making creative decisions based on creativity. The computer is making the decisions on what to make and when to pull the plug, to answer your question. So I don't know. It depends what else is in their library. There's a lot of factors, but what people are pointing out is that the computer is making this choice.
It could be. I mean, I personally think that all the streaming services, et cetera, are destroying whatever is left of Hollywood by splintering it to such a degree. And guess what's rearing its head again? Piracy. Because piracy had been pretty much squashed by Netflix. It was like, Yeah, you know what, $10 a month, whatever, and I can watch damn near anything. People were just watching it because it was easy and convenient, and that's one way to beat piracy. But now it's like, oh, if you really want to watch one series, you have to subscribe to that streaming service. If you want to watch another series, another streaming service. If you want to watch another series, another streaming service. So
this model, as David Mamet pointed out, is self-fulfilling prophecy of doom based on what you're saying, because nobody wants the other 99 things on. They want to do it for the one show, and then you just cancel it. And now they're merging. If you can see, I tried to cancel Paramount Plus last month, and they came back multiple offers every time, cutting it at half, down to $6 a month, down to $3 a month. Because what's the worst thing that can happen is you're not a subscriber, right? Now you got nothing. So it's not sustainable is what I mean. But what is sustainable is a group called Angel Studios, which is a Americana Christian studio that has released the film
Sons of Freedom or Sounds of Freedom.
Has just released a film called The Last Rodeo with Neil McDonough. Now, this movie was made for $8 million by Angel, and it's a rodeo picture about an aging rodeo star who has to come out of retirement like a Rocky thing to win this bull riding contest called The Last Rodeo. It was made for $8 million. They made the $8 million back in the first weekend. It's got a 96% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Nobody's covering it, so I'm talking it up because of Neil McDonough, who people know who this actor is. He kisses a woman for the first time in his career at the end of the movie. He's famously known for
his wife in it.
No, it's not. It's not. But he had permission, and for the good of the movie, he kisses this actress at the end of the movie. That being said, Angel Studios really has a good model on how to do this. As a small, low-budget operation, $8 million and making it back that quickly is pretty good news. That film itself, if done right, can pay itself back in one weekend.
If I recall, Angel Studio also is owned by consumers, that people are investing in the studio itself to try to help push it along. Isn't that the one who's doing that? Because people have brought up the model before. They did Sound of Freedom, if I recall, as another movie.
Angel Studios is a real studio. But John Avnet, by the way, is the director of this picture. John Avnet's credits are unbelievable. I mean, he is a real deal, big time Hollywood director. He directed this movie. And as McDonough said, he made this $8 million film look like an $80 million film. If you could get a guy like Avnet, and a lot of these directors are out of work, if you get a guy like Avnet, who is from Brooklyn, a Jewish guy, tons of credits, absolutely tons of credits by Avnet, and a cinematographer crew that works with him, you could take a $5 to $8 million picture and make it look like $100 million every time, which is what McDonough has been saying. I haven't seen it. I'm just putting it out there to the audience for this weekend.
All right, here, this is what I was talking about. Angel Studios literally has angel funding.
Okay.
So it's people who are like normal people are investing like smaller amounts of money into.
Isn't Newsmax doing that too now?
I don't know. I haven't followed Newsmax. I'm just talking about the Angel Studio, which I think is interesting. Paradigm, and a good way to do that, because if people have invested, like, Sound of Freedom, obviously huge, 6,676 people raised $5 million. So that's people themselves investing in that, kind of like we have people on locals or whatever. If people feel like it is their studio, they're going to be twice as loyal to watch the movies as they come along.
Good work.
And that can help them sustain.
Good work.
So that's what I was talking about. Let's see what other story.
Well, Trump just turned down, speaking of studios, CBS and Paramount Studios offered $15 million to Trump to settle this $20 billion lawsuit against CBS, and Trump has passed for today on the $15 million offer.
I think he offered 10.
Well, now it's up to 15 right before the show.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Right before the show, it went to 15. And Trump is saying you're way off and demanding a detailed written apology that they are choking on over at BlackRock. Holy crap, is that hard to swallow for them, Eric?
Well, good. I mean, well, he knows that he's got them.
Yeah.
So he's just making them squirm and be like, yeah, no more 60 minutes. No more. I mean, I do think a lot of this is on principle versus the cash that he wants.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he'll give the money away to a good cause.
So good.
All right. The story I wanted to cover was about this Nathan Latch, who was arrested right before the show by the FBI. There's a Defense Intelligence Agency employee who the FBI finally arrested somebody, this guy. And the reason I find him interesting is two reasons. First of all, the FBI arrested someone. Number two, he was trying to sell secrets to foreign nations and was apprehended doing that. But the interest to me was that experience box right there, Eric. If you could somehow blow that up, this is his resume. No. Just show the people at home this guy's resume. Mm-hmm. This is his entire resume of how he becomes a DIA agent. He's been there for 5 years and 10 months. But look at what he did to get in there. Look at the 10 years that he did at public supermarkets as a cashier in Florida, Hunley.
I would love to mock it, but I feel like there could be more there. Like, was he getting a degree at the time, and he was working at the grocery store while he was going through college, getting a master's or whatever, and then after he graduated college, he got hired into the Defense Department? I don't know, but
apparently not. So nice try, but apparently there's no record of that. But nice try.
He doesn't have a degree
as his lawyer.
Well, he doesn't have a degree. I didn't know that.
I don't think he has a degree in anything. He was a cashier for 10 years.
Well, a computer scientist typically has a degree when working with the government. At least when I was there, they needed to have that in order to even get the job.
You think it took him 10 years to get a computer science degree?
Well, if you're working part-time at a damn grocery store, having to get school at night, I don't know. I'm just saying it's possible.
You're the one who said this. How could you not know? I mean, you're the one putting this out there. Look at the cashier thing that he did. 14 years as a cashier.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a cashier.
Could be. I mean,
whatever, bro. All right. I tried.
Well, I'm just saying, there is always a possibility.
Okay, Eric. We'll let the audience decide this one. Okay, well, we covered that one. We covered that. Now, what about this Maha report? Did you hear about that one? They had non-existent studies in there or footnotes that went nowhere, Hunley?
Sounds like they used AI to generate it.
They didn't exist, some of these papers.
Well, right. That's why I said it sounds like they used AI to generate the information, because that's where a lot of these things happen. Like, we've literally had court cases where lawyers have used AI to help write their argument, and the AI cited cases that did not exist.
You think that's what happened here?
I think it's possible. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
It's just an interesting, several studies cited by them do not exist.
Well, there were names on the studies and actual authors who they contacted who said, I never wrote that report.
Right.
I don't really know how it happened, but
I don't know.
It doesn't look good for Bobby Kennedy, I'll tell you that.
Oh, no,
much.
It's incredibly embarrassing.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I could see this being an AI thing. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, all right. I'll take that until there's any other explanation. That's a good one.
Oh, Rebecca, you're tired of my BS? Well, I'm tired of you. Goodbye.
Hey, he's having a private war here in the middle of the show. Okay, so we covered Nathan Latch. You want to get into Chris Cuomo a little bit?
Yeah, what's up with Chris?
I don't know. I sent you a link to this thing of Chris Cuomo, who apparently, let me see if I could find it myself.
Well, no, I know you just send links in X. There's links in text, so I just have to roll around to find it.
Okay.
I'm pretty quick at it.
Okay. Oh, look at that shirt. That's really startling with this tie, Eric. You didn't say anything.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
And I pulled up a chat too. So
nice
okay.
Try. Nice try.
That shirt. I even said you look like the Riddler or something.
The Riddler, bro. The Riddler. Okay, let's see what this guy's got. This knucklehead.
Change how I feel about the parties. They are the problem. They are the root of this binary battle to the bottom. The division is almost exclusively manufactured. We are fighting over culture issues and controversies that are completely made up. We divide this country over a single homicide of somebody, and it's absolutely wrong. What happened to Laken Riley is horrible. It's one too many, any way you want to look at it. But it is also an artificial issue.
Whoa.
We have crime issues in this country.
Whoa.
Our homicide problem is not from illegal immigrants. Okay? Yeah, but there shouldn't be any. There shouldn't be any of a lot of things that we haven't made a top priority.
Okay.
The division is manufactured. Change how I feel about the parties. They are the problem.
All right. Well, anyway, he thinks that these people, that Laken Riley is a one-off and it's never happened again.
Oh, I've heard that. And there are people who will roll out statistics stating that illegals by percentage commit less crimes because they're keeping a low profile.
He's one of those.
So it's not, that's a common argument to downplay. If you can't get that, but it's like, well, okay, so go ahead and tell that to the parents. We're not saying there is no other crime. We're saying, how about we only deal with our own crime? We don't need to import more crime, Chris Cuomo. We've got our own.
What a weird apologist for a weird issue.
Well, because he's trying to say it's a non-issue.
But it's not a non-issue. It's a major issue.
Oh, I agree.
He's trying in a very weak way to say it's a non-issue, but apparently the American people, it's like an 80-15 issue to get these people out of here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he's one of the 15 derangos.
Right, which would be almost the entire mainstream press or mainstream media and the Democrat, well, not the Democrat Party, the leadership of the Democratic Party, I would qualify. Because when you're talking about 80-20 issues, then that means that's a lot of Democrats too who agree with that. But
Trump is calling Newsom today about this. This is the beginning of the high school championships in track and field and other sports here. And there is a trans girl competing who's like 6'4", who's been winning everything, the broad jump, the high jump, the monkey jump. And Trump is now boxed Newsom into a corner because of that Charlie Kirk interview, where he put out a Truth Social yesterday, calling Newsom out, said he's calling him on the phone to get him to make a definitive statement about what he's going to do, Eric. He's really boxed him in on this thing.
Good. I mean, just like he's got that other rogue governor in Maine. I mean, he needs to do that. And as would it be great? I don't think we can have the Olympics in California because it's going against the policy of the United States. I mean,
it may be an issue. I don't know. They got a couple of years to figure it out, but you might not be wrong on that. Again, I don't know what's going on in Nashville, but apparently they have a Democratic mayor there named Freddie O'Connell, an Irish dude who's been doxing ICE agents with their home addresses and phone numbers to prevent them from going after illegal aliens down in Nashville. And Homan has threatened to arrest this mayor and make an example out of him. What's your opinion?
I think he should just arrest him and not announce it.
Okay.
Or rather than just say, I'm going to, I wish he would. And it makes me think, remember Nashville we've talked about recently, and I made the argument that perhaps it's not just Vanderbilt University that didn't want a manifesto to come out, but it was actually the government in Nashville, specifically that mayor. This mayor sounds like an activist, leftist judge who loves the trans movement, wants to cover up a manifesto, potentially, just like he's trying to cover up for illegals to help them out. So I just kind of a universal scumbag as we're used to seeing.
Speaking of illegals, did you see, I think I sent you a little video on this, on the Chinese national who was appointed to the election commission in San Francisco, and she has been interviewed in this thing. It's just San Francisco taking a non-citizen, literally a non-citizen, and putting her on the election commission about voting, Eric. How is this humanly possible? Aren't there enough citizens to do these jobs? I mean, you would go to a non-citizen?
Flabbergasted is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
word that comes to mind. I don't.
There's a little bit of footage. Maybe the audience would appreciate seeing who the woman is. Oh, yeah, here it is. Yeah, this is her. This is in San Francisco. This is a woman who's not a citizen. She's Chinese, from China, and is now on our election commission in California about vote counting. Let's see what she says. She explains it pretty well.
All right, then.
Okay, no, I know this. I
好多
translated.
權利係好多非公民啊、移民咧都可以
MSG in the
享有嘅，
food.
包括
My
咧，就
family
算
had a
你唔係公民
restaurant,
都可以咧
and I
去
opened
做
the
委員
restaurant
去影響政策嘅。好多時其實我哋華裔啦，或者
My whole
亞裔
family
嘅聲音
came
咧都比
here
較薄弱。
minutes
咁
ago,
咧特別係識講中文或者其他語言嘅人咧
and
更加
people are
少咧
voting
係有個
through
代表
this
性嘅
system,
喺個
and
議會上邊。所以我覺得
I
亦都
think
因
we
為
should
咁
count
咧，
all
我
the
就覺
votes
得
of
我好想
illegals
代表我哋移民嘅聲音。其實我
in
哋都
San
一樣有
Francisco
交
and
稅，我哋一樣
Chinatown.
對社會有貢獻。
All right, well
Okay,
done.
this is so Wong, Eric, that I can't even comment on it.
You stole that line from that, but cool. Kelly Wong, literally.
Is that her
there
name?
Wong. Yes.
Oh, it's so Wong. But am I wrong? I'm not wrong about the analysis.
That's one of those.
She's a non-citizen who's been appointed to the election commission.
Or as they put it, something Wong.
Something Wong. Something's very Wong in San Francisco. But I believe these congressional, again, I don't care what they do in city elections in these different cities. That could be handled by the state of California. Congressional elections have to be run by federal rules. I don't know how they're getting away with this, counting votes for a month and a half in a federal election. I'm not talking about the governor's race, attorney general of the state of California. Count till the cows come home to the mayor of LA. That's on you. But they're going to attempt to steal 5 to 6 to 7 seats in this upcoming midterms here in California by the long count, unless the Trump administration gets off their fat asses and goes and federalizes these elections for congressional seats here in California. They're going to count until they get victory and flip these seats here, Eric.
Yeah.
I don't care about the mayor's race. I mean, I care, but the federal government can't do anything about it. You can't have different rules than the rest of the country for federal congressional elections, in my humble opinion. This has to be challenged in court immediately, not 3 days before the midterms, as is typical of the right.
I'm kind of leaning more. I understand you're saying on federal. I feel like even state, it shouldn't be. The same way as I feel like a resident of the state would have to be the only one. Like I can't go to California and go vote for your person. I feel like that it's similar there, that really all of it should be.
I completely agree with you. I just think it's two separate lawsuits, one that can wait, the other one that's an emergency. That's the only reason. I completely agree with you. I think if you walk in with this congressional lawsuit separately, and worry about that other shit later, you have to take care of the midterms coming up. And if you add both together, they'll tie it up in court for 10 years. That's why I'm saying I completely agree with you.
Now, can I make the argument, though, that we need to go into Congress and you to write a law that's stating that the election is on this date.
How about starting with an executive order and the law?
Okay, simultaneous. Right, the order, but make sure the law's there and voted on, because I'm getting tired of executive orders with no law.
Dude, this has to be a law. There's no way around it. They have abused these congressional seats and the elections, and they've stolen them, flipped them, stretched them out, counted them for months. I can't tell you how important this is for the midterms. I'm just going to keep talking about it until they take me away, because this is the flipping of the House. Not so much the Senate, obviously, because there's only 2 senators in California, and they're not up for election. But these House seats are going to be flipped by them stretching it out. They're bragging about it. They're talking about it. They're laughing about it. And I hear nothing but crickets out of this administration and the Congress, Eric.
Well, I'm sure that the FBI is right on it.
They got to send in an undercover. When was the last time you saw a great sting operation? How long has it been since you've seen an abscam type sting operation or something like you saw in Sea of Love at the opening with the phony Yankee tickets with Al Pacino? I can't remember the last time there's been a undercover sting operation.
Not like that, but they are nailing your city council.
Yes. Well, that's like low hanging fruit, bro. Those guys are so brazen, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, that's low hanging fruit. That's stupid black collar crime.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to go through some super chats while we're sitting here. Pamela Clifton came in with $5 saying happy Friday. And Spinner Pete is saying, hold on. Hey, guys and gals, head over to Locals for no ads.
Right.
And if you are not on welfare, pay for the content.
Yeah.
I'm going there now. Follow me. I'm the freaking pie.
Dude, I love this guy. Thank you, London Spinner Pete. Is that the London pound sign over there?
Yep, that's a pound. So that's even more than $10. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this coverage of these events in London, I see we have a lot of followers from the UK and also Australia. Germany's a big one. And Canada, of course, is probably number one. They're fascinated.
Don't forget the Slavs. Not the Slavs, but the Nordic states. Because we have
right.
Sweden
I'm just talking about.
Denmark,
I think the biggest are those, right, or no? I mean, the biggest ones we have are probably Canada, UK, Australia.
We definitely have Australia. Yeah. People, from tomorrow are watching. But surprisingly, we have Denmark, Norway. We have Pew. We've got Sweden.
With the Bill Harvey story on Tuesday to my Anglophile friends is going to spin off into some Kim Philby. Area of the Cambridge Five. So there's a Brit alert. I'll put up the Brit sign over the weekend. Brit alert.
We need a flash for that, like a union.
Yeah, like a whoop, 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 Brit alert, Brit alert.
All right. Well, Helena Olchnik gifted 10 memberships.
Yeah,
I don't think she's
from
gifted.
Tasmania, this chick or something.
No. She's from Canada. But
okay.
And she's been watching for a while, and I don't think she's ever given memberships before. That's very kind.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you very much for your generosity. Byron Morris is saying, okay, Mark said to get off my fat ass to join in Locals, I became a supporter. Love the extra content. Also got my coffee today. Looking forward to it. This is my favorite channel that I don't miss. Come on, Bobby. Thank you very much,
Byron. Thank you. I mean, it's so funny because there's so many people who tune into the show a few days from now and are ripping their hair out because they're seeing so many commercials that Eric and I can't control. However, what we can control is trying to tell you, not live, but if you're going to watch it a couple of days from now, you could watch it commercial free on Locals and then look around Locals and investigate what we're doing over there, because there we could do whatever we want. We can't do whatever we want here, but we can over there. And if you have $5.61 a month, you can become an actual member of Locals, live large, become a dominant force in the industry, and meet all these other knuckleheads who have been over there for 3 years, right, Eric? I mean, how long has Locals been? Number of years now.
I've had it up since Martin Luther King Day 2021. So
oh, wow. Okay, so we're coming up on almost 4 years then, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, you could be part of that. I don't know how we can advertise it more than just saying it here, but it's kind of like there's our own Twitter feed, there's our own library of documents and books and everything in PDF form that are out of print. It's a gold mine for $5 a month. To be honest with you, it really is a freaking gold mine.
Yeah, it's like a private Facebook group. For those of you who remember that.
But you can't get books on Facebook. You can't get.
No, you don't. It doesn't have the other materials, but I'm talking about the community and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Adds to it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Part of the reason we do that is instead of like something that's top down where you're waiting for us to say something, you can contribute. If you're a paid supporter, you can share articles and communicate and everything else.
Yeah.
And that makes the community stronger. But on that note, Byron also was a smart guy, and he got some coffee. And I'm curious, Byron, which flavor did you get? Because we have 2 great coffee flavors now. America's Untold Story Supreme Breakfast Blend. And then with the tariff up, down, in and out, never know which way the courts are going to go, which way Trump's going to go, we came up with another blend, which involves other countries, and that's the Magic Bullet Blend.
Wow.
And I'm actually alternating between the two. So I go through one bag of one and then one bag of the other. I love both of them. They have their own flavors. The Supreme Breakfast Blend is a little bit more robust. It's bolder. And the Magic Bullet Blend I find to be kind of mellower slightly, if you will. It's kind of a richer, fuller type of flavor. Sort of like comparing a Guinness beer versus an IPA. IPA's got some, brightness, powerful, and then a Guinness draft is kind of a warmer, fuller flavor, if that makes sense. I encourage you guys to check it out. And then Traffic gifted 5 America's Untold Stories memberships, which we definitely appreciate.
He might be a fighter pilot.
Or a band member.
Or a band member of the Low Spark of High Heel Boys, which was a great album by Traffic, with the young Stevie Winwood, who started when he was 15 years old, by the way. And don't forget the Strangeloves episode, because that's another musical episode. We got a lot of rock music episodes. The Elliott Smith is a two-parter, Eric, I think, and the Strangeloves is a strange story, to put it mildly, about a rock band that didn't really exist.
Also, your friend,
Wayne Kramer in the MC5.
Yeah, Wayne Kramer. Yeah, we
okay.
did with him, didn't we?
Well, we did John Sinclair, who was the manager of the
so
MC5, which bleeds into it a little bit.
Okay. So it's tangential.
Yeah.
All right. Spinner Pete again, 5 pounds. Thank you. I'm 58. No great stud. 8 women. I never felt the need to video it. Greenwald, why? If it's your privacy,
good question.
Why have it recorded?
Again, I don't understand the recording things other than some. Again, I have nothing with Greenwald, but I agree with this guy. What is with the recording? Like, why is this some sort of peccadillo where you need to? Who are you sharing this with? Who?
Probably
if
to revisit it later himself.
Okay,
sure
but you're in an intimate relationship, as he says. Okay, so he's with you. Who is the third wheel that has to see this? Or is it just between you two?
I don't know.
All right, I'm with Spinner on this one. I don't.
It's not my lifestyle, and I'm whatever.
No, but it is a lot of people, especially among celebrities. It seems to be, and even Nancy Mace was talking about being filmed, although that was surreptitious in a hotel that was recording people illegally. So that might have been a different story.
That was her ex.
I know, but it was still a relationship recording, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So he's saying, bring it on, drop your immunity and sue me. He literally defending himself, saying, I can't do anything because you're hiding behind congressional immunity. He called her out on it. Now, I don't know who's right or wrong here, but it was her ex.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess she's claiming RP, because we can't say that. Revenge fraud.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
All right, JoJo, 2 pounds. Thank you very much, JoJo. And then coming in hot, Mean Gene from Florida, $100 in memory of Loretta Swit.
Dude, she was a character. She was a great actress. She had that role that cemented her in America as Hot Lips Houlihan.
I think she actually was better than Sally Kellerman.
I've never been a fan of Sally Kellerman. I think she's overrated. I think Swit was much better. Sometimes they switch actresses on these things. Sometimes they keep them, and the original ones might have been better.
Well, it is kind of weird because I used to always feel, I kind of feel still, that the MASH TV show was better than the damn movie.
That happens.
The movie was good, but the show, had a lot going to it with the cast and everything. Let me see. This is K-Dog. Yeah, good question. Why worry about the White House cocaine? We know whose coke it was. They need to start going after what matters.
That's what Barnes said today on X. I mean, he said the same thing. Instead of chasing ghosts, and I called them Ghostbusters to respond to Barnes, he was right. He's going, why are they chasing these ghosts that don't have any gravitas like this cocaine thing? It's a waste of manpower. It's a waste of PR. It's a waste of their gravitas, to be honest. And I said, finally, yesterday, don't we have a DEA? Is this really the job of the FBI? What the F does the DEA do? It sounds like that's their job, not the FBI.
Or the Secret Service could do it. You've got a new guy in charge of that. Who the hell brought the White House in your protectorate?
Doesn't seem like an FBI job, if you ask me, to find who left a gram of coke on a table after some sort of late night party at the White House. I'm not really that concerned about that event.
No, especially when it's a new administration anyway. So the odds are they're not there anymore.
Right.
So then what?
I don't know.
If it was Hunter, like everybody thinks, well, he already got pardoned.
It's just a press release of meaninglessness. I mean, it's just, we're after the cocaine guy. Well, we're still waiting for the Epstein files, which you claim to have now looked at videos, and you're going to get them out as fast as humanly possible. Just shut up already. Shut up and just do the job. We're tired of listening to you people. I mean, everybody liked them on the radio and their books. They're not matching what they said before they got the job. That is the bottom line that's pissing the fuck out of this country. You can't write a book calling Adam Schiff the biggest congressional criminal in 250 years, get into office, and then not go after Adam Schiff. You can't be on radio and TV every day for 5 years, get into office, disappear, and put out some press release about going after a gram of cocaine. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then you can't whine about James Comey.
Yeah.
Letting everybody do that, saying he's wasting resources. Well, why hasn't he been perp walked? Why wasn't he at least? I mean, okay, so let's say he get out immediately. Let's say he get bail immediately. Why not? Why not make a public arresting of the guy?
I've said this since before they even got into office. Arrest these people, let them lawyer up. If you lose, you lose. What the fuck is the problem? You go to court, you select a jury, you try to get the best area of the country for the case. You present your evidence, and that's it. That's it. That's what they did to us. Apparently, they just can't do it. It becomes some kind of block in their minds that prevents them from doing it. And nobody can figure out what the block is. People have speculated, as you and I have, Tim Pool talking about, others talking about it. Is it, some sort of threat? Is it, we're going to take your daughter and do so? Nobody knows. And to be honest with you, I don't give a shit. Like somebody said, don't take the job if you're vulnerable, Eric.
Yeah, Barnes.
Barnes said it. Okay, it's a good line.
But like literally the Comey thing, I'm just like, Kash Patel is whining and saying, look what he did, and we have to follow up with everybody. So you're following up everybody except for James Comey? It just makes... How many would be prevented because he's perp walked? A lot of people wouldn't do that if they knew they were going to be perp walked.
Oh, then they put out the thing about the pipe bomber, right? That's coming soon at a theater near you at Christmas release. What the hell seems to be the problem? They have all this information, right? What is the problem here? We've had information leaked for the entire century of this country since we had an FBI. Since 1929, stuff has been leaked out of the FBI. Now, all of a sudden, we can't know anything about anything because it may jeopardize some case 4 years from now. Give me a break.
Yeah,
we have the cell phone number of the caller.
We got the T-Mobile guy who said, I know who it is.
The T-Mobile whistleblower is what Eric's referring to, of the guy who was making the call, the pipe bomber, who's on video. We don't need to hide this any longer. It's not going to jeopardize your case to say this is the information we got about this guy, and now we're arresting him today. What is so difficult about this? Are they that bad at this job?
Apparently.
Yeah, it may just be an aptitude, Eric.
I mean, well, I quote Corolla from time to time. He always simplifies it very well. Stupid or liar.
Yeah, that's kind of what it comes down to, stupid or liar, or both. Or both. Yeah, it could be both, to be honest with you. I like that this maniac, David Hogg, came out yesterday saying that Jill Biden's chief of staff was the one running the country. I've never even heard of this guy before. Anthony Bernal he's claiming David Hogg in a interview, secretly recorded, I think.
Yeah, with Project Veritas.
A Veritas interview that Bernal, who was Jill Biden's chief of staff, was in charge of the White House. And I've never heard this before.
It's possible because Tapper actually was talking about him too.
Oh, interesting.
In the books and the interviews, that this guy was such an unusual character because he was a first lady chief of staff and everybody was afraid of him.
Yeah, Hogg said he was afraid of him. Yeah, yeah.
Staff members. So how the hell could, and that makes me think, again, Edith Wilson.
Yeah.
Edith damn Wilson. And then this is her Rasputin or whatever the hell he is.
Yeah.
It's
that's kind of interesting, but they subpoenaed, I don't know if they subpoenaed, I take that back. They've asked the doctor, Biden's doctor, who I think is 3'9" tall.
Send me that picture.
Yeah. Did you see that picture with him and Biden? I had no idea. This guy is like 4 feet tall. He's going to testify, plus others in the administration are being asked. I don't think they were subpoenaed to testify before Congress. So again, I don't think this is going to be under oath for cowardly reasons that I, again, don't understand why you can't put them under oath to testify,
So wait, on the over-under then, is it Stephanopoulos who's also the midget? I was going to say
Stephanopoulos is tiny.
So which one is bigger?
Oh, he's definitely smaller than Stephanopoulos. This guy's shorter than Stephanopoulos. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering. I was throwing out another name. Just, I'm curious. All right. Well,
Christopher Hitchens. There's two things I wanted to talk about. One was Christopher Hitchens in this 2009 video that was floated out on X yesterday, talking about Islamophobia, which is a new thing back in 2009, relatively new. And Christopher Hitchens predicted that this will be used to criminalize speech in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years in this video. And he couldn't be more dead on accurate based on what's going on in the UK, that this thing is an invented political weapon that didn't exist, like anti-Semitism and racism. What Hitchens is saying, I don't know, maybe you got a little clip. Is this Hitchens here in this clip, right? Talking about this. Let's see.
This is very urgent business, ladies and gentlemen. I beseech you. Resist it while you still can, and before the right to complain is taken away from you, which will be the next thing. You will be told you can't complain because you're Islamophobic.
Just like transphobic, by the way.
Yeah.
The term is already being introduced into the culture as if it was an accusation of race hatred, for example, or bigotry, whereas it's only the objection to the preachings of a very extreme and absolutist religion. Watch out for these symptoms. They are not just symptoms of surrender, very often ecumenically offered to you by men of God in other robes, Christian and Jewish and smarmy ecumenical. These are the ones who will hold open the gates for the barbarians. The barbarians never take a city till someone holds the gates open for them.
Wow.
And it's your own preachers who will do it for you, and your own multicultural authorities who will do it for you. Resist it while you can. And if you wonder what will happen if you don't, look and see how a cricket team in Middlesex in England had to change its name by force last week because it was called, and had been for years, the Middlesex Crusaders. Look and see how stories about little pigs can't be taught to children in English schools anymore, lest offense be taken by the religion of peace.
Dude, I miss Christopher Hitchens.
Oh, I do too.
I mean, what a great voice. Anti-wokeness, even before it was
slap.
Even before it was invoked all over the world. Hitchens saw this coming. These changing of names, including the Cleveland Indians, who had to become the Cleveland Guardians, including the Washington Redskins who had to become the Washington Commanders, and not including the Atlanta Braves, who refused to buckle to the politically correct people down in Atlanta, who would not change their name from the Atlanta Braves. And just an update for people at home. This is a sports update. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Sports update. Following this show, Dodgers, Yankees, for 3 consecutive games at Yankee Stadium. That's Apple TV tonight, Big Fox tomorrow, game of the week, Sunday night, ESPN baseball tonight on Sunday night, Fox tomorrow night, and Apple TV tonight for 3 Yankee games. Then 4 consecutive Met games in a row, no days off. These are 7 consecutive games against New York teams in LA here coming up. So this is a big sports announcement for those who follow this type of thing around the country. And I don't know about Middlesex with the Crusaders, but I think the Commanders and the Guardians is a similar story.
Yeah, wait a minute. The Guardians. What was the team?
The Cleveland Indians.
Oh, Indians. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They found a tribe that they paid to complain, and that tribe, they rode that tribe into the woke world, saying that the Indians, just the Indians, And they always say, "How would you like a team called the New York Jews?" I don't care. You want to change the Mets to New York
Sounds
Jews?
powerful. I mean, the idea is it's supposed to be something powerful. So I mean, it's
right.
But there were tribes complaining that they stopped calling them the Redskins.
Absolutely.
What about the Chiefs? Fortunately, they kept theirs.
They tried on the Chiefs, and I'll tell you the history of the Braves was the tomahawk chop, which even a bizarre woman named Jane Fonda would do with her husband Ted Turner, who was the owner of the team, and that was their Achilles heel, was that Jane Fonda didn't abide by the wokeness of the time, and they kept showing video of Jane Fonda doing the tomahawk chop. So that went by the wayside and saved the Braves.
I think the Chiefs can also duck a little and say, well, there's police chiefs, fire chiefs, just chief in charge. We're badasses. So I don't know. Denzel Crocker with the super sticker. Thank you. And Nick Giusti. Bosch is a great show. If y'all haven't seen it, you're missing out. I agree. I'm sad that it's done, but I guess at least there's 10
Well,
seasons.
there's other shows that'll come down the pike, and
they got 10 seasons out of it. So
right, I mean, that's a long run.
Christopher Zinn, as a voter, I don't vote for what I want. I vote against what I don't want. It offers me clarity of vision. That's
sometimes. I mean, whether you wanted Trump or not, I mean, people voted for Trump to defeat Biden. I mean, or defeat Harris in this case. But there's plenty of people voted for Trump to get Trump.
That's true. But that is an interesting way, especially if you're uncomfortable with both, or you want to go lesser of two evils. And that there is.
Well, a lot of times you have to, because it's two broad-based parties, and we only have a two-party system, not a parliamentary system like other countries do, and you could vote for a bunch of different parties. But here, a lot of times it's not going to be on the nose. You're not going to agree with every single policy of the candidate. It would just be mathematical. The odds of that would be enormous.
Sure. See, Nick Giusti again. Every time a court rules against Trump and is overturned on appeal, Trump should be super petty and send that lower court judge a fruit basket and note that says, "You lose. Thanks for playing, loser."
Well, Nick, I was thinking that it could be one of those bar drinking games where every time a judge votes against Trump, you have to take a shot, because you'll be drunk by the end of the week. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's heading there.
Right.
George Toth, great show. Happy summer. Thank you, George. I appreciate that. Hey, Nick Giusti is busy today.
Wow.
We have enough homegrown crime. We don't need to import more. Zero illegal immigrants means zero illegal immigrants committing crimes.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know how it's defended morally. You know what I mean? Like
it's not.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Cuomo just made a jerk off out of himself, because you're saying it's a small amount of crime. And go on. Go on from there.
Another example of that is like what they're trying to say about DOGE and the whole, DOGE is supposed to save us $1 trillion and it's only 150 billion.
God,
and I'm like, well, we don't want the 150 billion.
Yeah, I know.
It's like the logic that they try to spend just to do a counter message is, oh, well, it's supposed to be that. So, okay. So what it is no value. It doesn't make sense.
Look, it's a group that's run out of ideas, that's grasping at straws. And I'm saying that broadly because they can't seem to get their talking points right. And when they do, it's such mimicry that it sounds insane. What part of this don't they get? That how easy it is to put them all together and show this repetitive talking point thing. I guess they don't care. I guess they think the repetitiveness of it is worth more than being called out on it.
Goebbels, right? A message repeated enough times.
Yeah.
And besides, that's all they watch, Mark.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're watching the
silo.
alternative.
Yeah, they're in a silo to begin with. Yeah.
So it's almost a mantra. Kevin Patrick with $10. Thank you very much, Kevin. And then, hey, Nick Juicy again. What kind of narcissist can watch this show and not subscribe?
That's what my question is. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I feel the same way. Here. I mean, we're not even asking you to pay for it. I mean, I see these other shows and they tell me to subscribe. And I go, okay, I like this. I'll subscribe. But here it becomes like, oh, you don't know. The Gestapo might be watching me or my wife may find out. I mean, there's all these crazy, paranoid people out there who's part of our audience who just thinks by pushing this button, their world in the middle of Montana is going to come to an end.
Yeah, so
listen to what Nick is doing.
You don't even have this guy. You don't even have to share. There's a setting in YouTube where you can say, "Don't show who I'm subscribed to."
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So you can even do that, and then you can quietly be subscribed. And
I guess they're afraid, like there's some relative or sibling will find out they subscribe to this channel, right? But Hunley has some other IT method to avoid detection, like a submarine with sonar.
Yeah, it's built into YouTube. You just say, don't share or don't show.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know a lot of this stuff, but that's obvious.
Al Gonzalez. Mark, is that a shirt from the custom shop?
It's not.
It would go well with my blazer from there.
It's a great shirt for your blazer, and you're not getting it, Gonzalez. I'll tell you that right now, because I know where you're going with this. And I'm not even telling you where I got it, because then you'll get it, and then we'll look like two schmucks together with the same shirt. So you're not getting your hands on this one, Gonzalez. I'll tell you that. This is a great shirt.
All right.
Gonzalez served under Bernie Kerik, and what he pointed out to me today was, which I did not know, that Greg Kelly lived in that building down by the World Trade Center that Bernie Kerik lived in, which was
you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. I'm just reminded of that because
Greg Kelly's dad probably worked with him, didn't he?
I assume so.
Kelly,
Raymond Kelly. Yeah.
So not completely.
He came out of the detective squad, so I mean, he worked his way up, Kerik, but he might have been a ladies' man or something was with this guy. I don't think he was financially corrupt, but who knows? I could be speaking out of school.
All right. Well, Stephen McMahon. They knew from the jump whose Coke it was. Common sense says they have cameras in the urinals in the White House.
Yeah. Really? Cameras in the urinals? That I don't know if that's common sense, bro.
No, and I mean,
you think there's cameras in the bathrooms at the White House?
I'm pretty sure there are cameras in the hallway going to the bathrooms,
of course, yeah.
Which would capture everybody going to the bathroom. You say, okay, well, cocaine was found between here and there, so we've got 10 people. Was Hunter there? Oh, he's one of them. No.
All right. Well, good luck proving that miniature case and using all your manpower from the DOJ to go after that case in court.
All right. Well, Stephen McMahon again. A bunch of spook types in suits walked into Oval Office beginning of Nixon's term, showed him the Zapruder, I guess, film.
I don't know about that. I mean, he had a contentious relationships with Richard Helms that Johnson did not. And I'm going to cover a little bit about that on Tuesday. Johnson and him were sewn together at the hip, and he promoted Helms. Nixon had a contentious relationship with Helms because obviously these guys who were Watergate burglars were CIA. And there's whatever you want to say about the incredibly insane plot that Woodward came up with for his Woodward and Bernstein, All the President's Men. We now know that that's not true. So that we've explored this as well as we could, showing who these CIA guys were. And James McCord is linked to a lot of guys.
There he is. All right. See, Deep Pockets ENT.
That's a good one.
Mark, do you think there's a crew of 2025 CIA dedicated to infiltrating / spreading misinformation regarding Luna's JFK hearings? How many total people would you guess?
We saw one last week. We saw one at the woman who was the Democratic historian. She was in there just talking about JFK. And I mean, look, it's not much, but I mean, it's something.
And the guy in the first one too.
The guy in the first one
pitched about the same thing.
about Social Security numbers and attacking Trump. I mean, I don't remember anyone attacking the sitting president during the church hearings or the House Assassinations Committee hearings, or any hearings where they're having a hearing. Nobody goes after the sitting president, because usually you're looking back at some event, the Rockefeller Commission, or any of these events. You're looking back. Nobody goes after the sitting president during the event.
Yeah. And this is Byron Morris. One more time. Eric needs a matching guy's shirt now. By the way, I got both copies.
Right on. Cool. Right on.
I've got some cool shirts.
Eric's got a lot of good stuff.
I wore one out there, but I'm wearing merch. You can
this
buy
is the actual
merch.
I've worn merch before.
Yeah, that's to encourage folks. You can, if you like this fine polo. I would love if we had a button down, but unfortunately we don't have that.
What do you mean, that the buttons down on? Oh, I mean a button down shirt.
Shirt. Yeah, with a I think it'd be cool.
Well, we do have a vast selection of hats and
a lot of
other
hats.
weird oddities like bags and mugs and all kinds of crazy crap. The teddy bears. Look at this thing. We got rabbits, bro. Look at this. Bugs Bunny. We got the dog. We've got the bear. There's a lot of merch that, I mean, these
monkey business.
It's a great monkey. Let me tell you something. That is a great, good looking monkey.
He's a very handsome fellow. Absolutely.
That is a pretty good one. I mean, if you got kids in the family, but maybe in Dallas, we could bring some with us and sell them there in Dallas, because we're going to be in Dallas, I believe, the 21st and 22nd of November. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun this time.
Yeah, it was fun last time. So I'm sure it will be.
I mean, if you have questions, don't bring me books, because I have to fly from Dallas. I don't have any room. But if you have questions, we're going to have a Q&A after the presentation in Dallas with Robert Groden, myself, and Eric, talking about political assassination films in Hollywood culture. This is the flyer for the overall event, which has every superstar known to JFK investigations usually there, or virtually. As Eric said, you could buy a virtual ticket, right?
Yeah, you can buy a virtual ticket, an in-person ticket, or a combination, of both. They also have like student tickets, but what I'd recommend is, if you are coming, you're probably better off buying both the virtual, or the package as the virtual and the ticket, because you're there in person, but you may not be able to attend every single session, and it's something that you could then watch later. And
they also have a merch room of people's books and merch in their own room of authors who are presenting there. So that's another benefit, is to pick up these obscure. There's also memorabilia. I mean, it's really like going to a rock concert, because there's T-shirts, there's books. It's in a nice hotel. Usually there's a buffet dinner. There's stuff that Eric got.
This is last one we went. This was in the
that's a good
room
one
with the books, and then this on also was there. So some of the books are there being given away too. It depends on the.
We have a lot of fans who come from America's Untold Stories, which is really great. We had hundreds of people last time packed into this conference room. They were all It was like our first meetup, really. I mean,
I think we had over half the attendees.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a rock concert, and we're going to go over these films, and I wanted Robert to explain, because he's getting a little older and I wanted to explain in lifetime why the Zapruder film is real. And because there's been a lot of pushback lately to try to discredit the Zapruder film, which only benefits the CIA. If they can discredit that, they're going to be victorious. It was a lucky afternoon. I mean, Orville Nix shot some footage, and so did other people. But Bob has a collection of those that he sells, and they're all together on DVDs that Bob sells. And his books are there too, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, and it is kind of frustrating. We are getting a lot of the Zapruder film pushback right now, especially with the guy with Horn testifying at the Senate hearing. And of course, Groden has been on the show twice. So any of you who have questions about the Zapruder film right now,
watch
you can't
the
wait till
Groden
November.
Episodes. Watch
both episodes, because we go into detail, forensically speaking, why this is the same film, etc. He breaks it down how it's sliced in half. There was a lot of great information that he gave.
And not only that, he is really the originator of the dissemination of the Zapruder film by getting it out of the life vault for the Garrison investigation. He was actually the projectionist at the court case for the Garrison trial, the Clay Shaw trial by Garrison in 1968. So, I mean, you're talking about going back to the original source. If it wasn't for Robert Groden copying that film and disseminating it by himself on foot at colleges around the country, and then eventually on Geraldo Tonight or whatever Geraldo Rivera's show was called on ABC, we never would be having this discussion, Eric.
Yeah, he was on there with Dick Gregory, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. And last super chat is from MSN Rocket Softball.
Well, they don't suck that bad, but they are the champions of the free world right now until they're dethroned. They are the current champions of Major League Baseball.
So
they can't suck that Mets. Yeah, it's not Let's Go Mets. I mean,
maybe it's Let's Go Mariners.
The Mets lost to the Dodgers last year, and then the Yankees lost to the Dodgers last year. We have 14 pitchers on the disabled list, not 4, 14 that are currently on the disabled list for the Dodgers. An astronomically insane amount. Mark Pryor, the pitching coach, has got to be fired because you can't have 14 pitchers on the DL. Someone's got to be blamed for it. Unfortunately, it might be Mark Pryor, the former Cubby, as many Cub fans know, became a pitching coach for the Dodgers.
All right. Well, Christopher Zinn snuck in here. I miss Hitchens too.
Yeah.
You can hear him in the voice of his brother Peter without the occasional lapse into latent Marxism. Good
yeah,
point.
I don't agree with everything Christopher Hitchens said. And again, I'm not supporter of atheism per se either, but
he was starting to drift away from the new atheists too. I mean, really, if you question about the new atheist movement being dead, consider the last one really standing out there is Sam Harris, who is just a laughing stock of the internet now. Even Richard Dawkins has separated himself from that group so quickly. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dawkins going to church just to keep away from Sam Harris and his type.
I thought Sam Harris had disappeared for a long time, and now he's back.
He just keeps popping. He's like that bad penny that won't go away. And oh my God, the guy's so awful. I guess his mom's Golden Girl residuals are still, helping.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. No, don't forget, Ben Shapiro's mother also worked for the studio system.
That's right.
I think in wardrobe or something. I
think so.
She was like a wardrobe
too. No, his dad a music teacher. I can't remember.
I forget. Yeah, but some kind of connection out here in the Valley. But they came from Chicago, and he's a White Sox fan because of his dad. Unfortunately for Ben, that's
what's the alternative? Cubs.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I think they're in first place. To be honest with you, that would be a good choice.
Aren't they? Wait,
yeah.
Did they ever win?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
finally. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so the White Sox still haven't, though, right?
The White Sox, no, they haven't won. I don't know. It could be 1919. The Black Sox, for all I remember,
right,
where they were imprisoned for cheating at the World Series in 1919. In fact, the National Lampoon softball team was called the Black Sox. We had all this swag that said Black Sox on it in commemoration of the Chicago White Sox in 1919 who threw the World Series.
Okay. Well, good.
All
right, well, we're going to continue these vivid sports discussions and whatever else over on Locals. That place that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, anything goes.
Watch a show for with no commercials, no ads, hang out. It's got its own private chat there. All the cool people are hanging out there. 264 people are in the chat right now.
How many members do we have of Locals, by the way? Total amount of members. You once told me this, but it may have gone up since then.
Yeah, it changes. We're at 19,733.
What? So it's almost 20,000 members.
Almost, yeah. And just over 2,100 who are active.
Well, I almost have 21,000 on Twitter, 20,000 on Twitter, so maybe it's the same people. By the way, Gretchen Whitmer is now attacking Trump because he's threatening to pardon the phony kidnappers of her phony kidnapping plot. So I think he's laying the groundwork to capture Whitmer in another failed political ploy.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's talk.
I know.
We'll follow up on this. And
yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. We'll talk about it on Locals. I don't want to talk to these people anymore because this is really secret stuff over here. We're going to take it over to Locals where we can talk more freely about these really in-depth subjects.
All right. We will see you there.